there's one thing I've learned in this game, you have to ignore criticism. You know, everyone's a groundsman, whether it be the 98-year-old that's had a season ticket for however many years, sitting in the stand, the CEO, the manager, the players. You're always, in this job, going to face criticism.
To be honest, groundsmanship, you're a little bit like a referee. If nobody notices you and nobody comments on the pitch and you go home and they've won, that's the perfect day. You tend to get more feedback, shall we say, if things are not going quite so well, but you know, everybody's entitled to opinion. You have to have thick skin with the job, to be honest.
Groundskeeping, a job that holds so much responsibility and requires such unconditional effort. It's simple. Without a groundsperson, we wouldn't be able to play many of the sports we all know and love today, and yet the hard work often goes unnoticed. Instead, they are met with fierce criticism, abuse, and even blamed when a team loses. So how hard do these people work? Surely it's just as simple as cutting some grass from time to time, right? Wrong. This is ground staff, the unsung heroes. Sixfields Stadium, the home of Northampton Town Football Club. Opened in October 1994, the Cobblers have been playing here for almost 30 years, and this is a ground that not only hosts League One football, but also women's football and even grassroots cup finals. But who is responsible for maintaining this pitch at such a professional standard? Meet head groundsman Paul Knowles. Paul and his team have been working on the surface at Sixfields for over 15 years, and I followed the team as they prepared for a league fixture that evening between Northampton Town and Blackpool. But it wasn't such a simple task.
I mean, this morning at 9, 10 o'clock, there's a lot of water across the surface, but to be honest, it's one of those winters where it's gone past sort of the drainage with the pitch. You know, the water table everywhere is so high. We've just had rain pretty much since the middle of November. So anybody that drives around the countryside at the moment can see water in the fields, water on the roads, and even the pitch's drainage is connected into that network at some point. So high water table, especially the location of this stadium, can present issues, and that's what we're facing today. It's not so much the pitch, because the pitch is in reasonable condition for the time of year. But, you know, trying to get tonight's game on might come at a price in terms of the condition of the pitch after. But, you know, predominantly we're here to get games on, so the challenge today is to make sure that happens.
Conditions were not in their favour and time was not on their side. With such a wet winter, a recent spell of heavy rain and only a matter of hours until kick-off, the team were under immense pressure to prepare the pitch and pass an inspection from the match referee. And with so much water around, it wasn't looking likely. And even if the game was to go ahead, the playing surface could be ruined for the rest of the season. The ground staff worked tirelessly right up until kick-off, and with some forking and sand to dry up the surface at half-time, the pitch was able to hold up, the game was completed, and the 14-hour working day was finally over.
If the game goes ahead, the team wins, everybody goes home happy, but for us, it could leave a little bit of a mess to clear up tomorrow.
And a mess it was. The pitch was battered, and lots of work needed to be done. But once again, the groundsman got straight back to business the following morning, and the tidy-up was on. The team walked up and down countless times divoting the pitch to remove the lumps and bumps, and this was followed by mowing the grass, which cuts the turf back to the perfect length, but also stands the grass up with the brushes, which pulls the debris to the top and stops the pitch from rotting. So despite the terrible weather conditions and 90 minutes of football tearing up the pitch, the Sixfields surface lives to be played on another day. And across the River Nen, things are no different. Pride, precision and patience is needed for any groundskeeper to produce the best possible playing surface. And over at the Western Home Stadium, Peterborough United's head groundsman Mark Panter is no exception to that rule. Before every game, he marks out each line by hand with string and follows closely behind with fresh white paint to ensure the lines are clear and perfectly straight. This is just one of Mark's many responsibilities, and like other groundskeepers, he recognises that football fans and even family members don't realise how much work is required to maintain a football pitch.
I think most of my friends and definitely my partner, she would say to me, you cut grass for a living. And I say the actual cutting grass side of things is probably one of the smallest parts we do in this job. Yes, in the growing season we are cutting quite a bit, but at this time of year, you know, we are we're on hand tools, we're divoting, we're feeding, we're spiking, we're doing a number of things, and actually the grass cutting is an important part of our job, but it's actually a very small part of our job in the grand scheme of things of what we do. I think what people don't see as well is that the weather plays such a big part in our job. So we have a game, and it's not just what happens in the game, it's the weather leading up to the game. So all people see is the 90 minutes that they turn up and watch football on a Saturday afternoon or Tuesday evening. What they don't realise is what we deal with in between that, and that is You know, are we trying to prep the pitch in bad conditions? Did we have a bad game last game and we've got to try and get the pitch right from that point of view? So there's lots of things to consider. We have to consider, do the players train on the pitch? Is there been an extra game, an under-21s game? So there's lots that go on in between first team matches that people don't necessarily see. So yeah, it's tough at times, but it's an enjoyable job, and you know, that's why I do it. I love doing it.
I was keen to explore further into Mark's love for his career, as he has spent many years as a groundsman at multiple football clubs, from non-league all the way up to the very top level. And throughout the years, he recognises that the job does come with a lot of outside noise, and is not a trade filled with glitz and glamour. According to the gov.uk website, the average salary for an experienced groundsperson is £30,500, which is almost £5,000 less than the national average. And it is a career path that typically demands long hours, evenings and weekend work throughout the calendar year, so you would hope that it would come with some positive recognition along the way.
Definitely no news is generally good news, yeah. The bit for us is if the team lose at home, you always know the pitch is going to be the first thing to get the criticism, because it's the easiest thing to blame. There's one thing I've learned in this game, is you have to ignore criticism. You know, everyone's a groundsman, whether it be the 98-year-old that's had a season ticket for however many years, sitting in the stand, the CEO, the manager, the players. You're always in this job going to face criticism. You've got to learn to block that out, because if you let it get to you, it can affect your work, you can react to it, and the best thing to do is just, obviously, you know what you're doing is the best thing you can do, and you just got to learn to deal with it. You know, you can't let it get to you. That's the main thing.
It seems a shame that such a dedicated vocation is not often met with praise, but it appears to be another part of the job, and ultimately, the experts like Mark will continue to focus on what goes on inside the white lines instead of what gets posted on social media. But what about those who do the same as Mark at Peterborough, Paul at Northampton, and many other professionals around the country? But they do it all for free. Those who wake up every day with a responsibility of maintaining a playing surface for nothing more than just a sense of pride and a genuine love for the community. Meet club groundsman Alan Sewell at Burton Latimer Town Cricket Club. Alan has been a volunteer for over 9 years at the Grassroots Cricket Club, and on top of working a full-time job, Alan dedicates up to 4 evenings every single week from February all the way through until the end of September. And with the help from other club members, he maintains not 1 but 2 cricket pitches every season for his club, as they have 4 adult Saturday teams, a Sunday adults team, a women's team and multiple youth teams from under 11s all the way up to under 19s. Which means he is responsible for facilitating as many as 10 or more matches in just 1 week. The commitment this man has for his cricket club is undeniable, especially as in recent years he moved into this very house, which is located less than 100 metres from the clubhouse. So what gets him out of bed every morning to put so much time and effort into his beloved cricket club? What motivates him to give that extra hour after he finishes work?
Somebody did it for me when I was a kid, when I played cricket, and I loved it. And it was one of the things, fondest memories I've got from 14 through to joining the Navy back in the day. That's one of the big sportist memories I have, is the achievements on the cricket pitch and the camaraderie and that whole thing. And I used to know the old groundsman that used to be at Medburn, right back in where I came from. So when I left and I joined this cricket club 17 years ago, I enjoyed playing, and then obviously they needed a groundsman, so I put my hand up and said I'd give it a go.
It's hard to put into words how devoted you must be as a volunteer to not only give up your spare time for nearly a decade, but also relocate just to accommodate for your desire to help out. And there is no denying that to become a groundsperson, you have to give it your all. Whether you work for a professional football team or a grassroots cricket club, the dedication to work season after season with no plaudits, sacrificing hours upon hours of time just to be told that it's your fault their team lost 1-0. Would you put yourself through that? But when it's all said and done, sport without ground staff is nothing. And that's why individuals like Alan, Mark and Paul are truly unsung heroes.